Soft law instruments are instruments issued mainly by local governments or authorities translated into administrative actions based on the Parliament's legislative intent. Law is, in this context, primary or delegated legislation, which is both legally binding and legally enforceable. From this point of view, soft law instruments serve mainly an interpretative function. Having made this distinction, it is important to note that while delegated legislation could be made by local authorities when this power is granted by the Parliament, this type of legislation would not be considered soft law, but rather law. Under EU law, soft law instruments include recommendations, opinions, guidelines, papers, reports, and so forth, which are all non-binding acts. In contrast, law would encompass directives, regulations, decisions, agreements, treaties, and so on. A third category would be legal instruments for implementation, which are legally binding acts in nature and directly applicable. With regards to soft law instruments, the impact depends on the jurisdiction applicable, the type of instrument, and the field of use. Different jurisdictions and institutions might treat soft law instruments differently. For instance, within EU law, soft law instruments take relevance in enforcement procedures, where the court involves soft law in the decision-making process, including documents that might be of a lower level than soft law. Nonetheless, when these legal instruments are used in law enforcement processes, hard law has the highest impact in decision-making. UK law follows a similar approach. However, it differs in connection with local authorities' promises, which, when issued by a local authority, are allowed judicial review challenges when such promise is substantial. There would be several practical consequences as a result of characterizing soft law instruments as law. While currently, soft law is understood as non-binding legal norms which have an influence in judicial proceedings but cannot be enforced, this section will identify the consequences of such legal instruments being binding and enforceable. These consequences will be categorized as a positive or negative.